Welcome to the show, everybody. Today we're diving into a topic that's got more tension than a Bollywood love triangle, the Indian Air Force versus the Pakistan Air Force. Now, these two countries have a history, right? And that history hasn't always been smooth sailing. But hey, we're not here for the drama, we're here for the facts. We're talking numbers, we're talking firepower, we're talking about who would win in a hypothetical dogfight over the skies of... Well, let's not get into that. Buckle up, folks, because we're about to break down the strengths, the weaknesses, and everything in between. By the end of this, you'll be able to impress your friends with your newfound military knowledge, or at least win an argument on the internet. So, without further ado, let's get this bird off the ground. All right, let's kick things off with the most obvious question. Who has more toys? And by toys, I mean incredibly expensive supersonic flying machines of death. Now, on paper, India's got this one in the bag. We're talking close to 2,000 aircraft, give or take. That's like showing up to a fistfight with a small army. The Pakistan Air Force, on the other hand, is working with a slightly smaller budget. They're rocking around 1,000 aircraft. But hold on, before you jump to conclusions, let's remember what our mothers always told us. It's not about the size of your arsenal, it's how you use it. Okay, maybe our mothers didn't say that, but you get the point. Having a whole bunch of planes is great and all, but you've got to be able to maintain them, upgrade them, and actually, fly them effectively. And that's where things get a little more interesting. Pakistan, despite having fewer aircraft, is historically focused on maintaining a leaner, meaner force. They've got some skilled pilots, let me tell you, and they've been known to make the most of what they've got. India, on the other hand, has been playing a bit of catch-up when it comes to modernization. They've been investing heavily in new tech, but it takes time to integrate all that shiny new hardware into an existing force. So the takeaway here, size isn't everything, folks. It's about the quality, the training, the tactics. It's about who can outmaneuver, who can outsmart, who can, well, you get the picture. All right, so we've talked about the fighters, the bombers, the whole shebang. But what about defense? Because let's be honest, nobody wins in a fight if they're just standing there taking punches, right? When it comes to shooting things out of the sky, both India and Pakistan have some pretty impressive systems in place. India's got the big guns, literally. They've got the S-400 Triumph, which is basically Russia's top-of-the-line air defense system. It's like the bouncer you don't want to mess with at a very exclusive sky club. They've also got their own homegrown system, the Akash missile, which is no slouch either. Think of it as the scrappy younger sibling, always trying to prove itself. Pakistan, not to be outdone, has been cozying up to China, and they've gotten their hands on the HQ-9, which is China's answer to, well, you guessed it, the S-400. They're also rocking some older systems like the Pechora Sams, which are kind of like your dad's old station wagon. Might not be the flashiest ride on the block, but it'll get the job done. Most of the time. But air defense isn't just about missiles and radar systems. It's about early warning. It's about communication. It's about having a network of sensors and systems that can detect and respond to threats in a coordinated way. And this is where things get a little tricky to measure. Both countries have been investing in upgrading their air defense networks, but it's hard to say definitively who has the edge. It's like trying to figure out who would win in a fight between a ninja and a samurai. Both have their strengths, both have their weaknesses, and the outcome depends on a whole bunch of factors that are impossible to predict beforehand. So let's just agree that both sides have some pretty impressive air defense capabilities, and that any attempt to breach those defenses would be a very, very bad idea. Chapter 3. Shiny new toys, key features and capabilities. Okay, time to geek out a little bit, folks. Let's talk about the actual planes themselves. India's been on a bit of a shopping spree lately, picking up some of the hottest fighters on the market. They've got the Su-30MKI, a Russian-made beast known for its maneuverability and firepower. Think of it as the Ferrari of fighter jets, sleek, powerful, and guaranteed to turn heads. And then there's the Rafale, the French beauty-making headlines. It's a multi-role fighter, handling air-to-air combat, ground attack missions, you name it. India's not just buying these fancy new toys, they're also building their own. They've got the Tejas, an indigenously developed light combat aircraft. Pakistan, on the other hand, relies heavily on China for its fighter jet needs. They've got the JF-17 Thunder, a joint Chinese-Pakistani project. They've also got older American-made F-16S, still formidable despite their age. So who's got the edge here? Well, on paper, it's got to be India. They've got the numbers, the latest tech, and they're investing heavily in indigenous development. But it's not just about the hardware, it's about the software, the training, the tactics. Chapter 4. Location, location, location. Air Force infrastructure. All right, folks, let's shift gears for a second and talk about something that doesn't involve explosions or dogfights infrastructure. Because believe it or not, having a bunch of fancy planes is useless if you don't have anywhere to put them. India, being the larger country, obviously has the advantage here. They've got over 60 major air bases scattered across the country, strategically positioned to respond to threats from all directions. It's like having 60 different branches of your favorite pizza place. No matter where you are, there's always one within reach. Pakistan, on the other hand, has a more limited selection. They've got around 20 to 25 major air bases, mostly concentrated along the border with India. It's like having a really good food truck. It might not be as convenient as a chain restaurant, but the food is just as good, maybe even better. But here's the thing about air bases. It's not just about how many you have, it's about how well maintained they are, how well defended they are, and how quickly you can scramble your jets from those bases in case of an emergency. And this is where things get a little murky. Both countries have been known to have issues with infrastructure maintenance, with reports of aging runways, outdated equipment, and a general lack of investment in upkeep. It's like that one friend we all have who's got a really nice car but never bothers to change the oil. So the takeaway here is that while India clearly has the advantage in terms of sheer numbers, the quality and readiness of those air bases is a factor that can't be ignored. Chapter 5. Show me the money, budget, and investments. And finally, we come to the most important factor of all: money, money, money. Because let's be real, you can't have a modern, effective Air Force without spending some serious cash. India, with its booming economy, has been throwing money at its military like it's going out of style. Their defense budget is over $70 billion, and a big chunk of that is going towards the Air Force. They're buying new planes, upgrading old ones, investing in research and development. Basically, they're on a military spending spree. Pakistan, on the other hand, has to be a little more careful with its pennies. Their defense budget is around $10 to $12 billion, which is still a lot of money, but it doesn't quite compare to India's spending power. But here's the interesting thing. Despite the disparity in budgets, Pakistan has been very strategic with its investments. They've been focusing on areas where they can get the most bang for their buck. Things like modernizing their existing fleet, expanding their drone capabilities, and developing indigenous solutions where possible. They're like the savvy shopper who knows how to stretch a dollar. They might not have the biggest budget, but they're making sure every rupee counts. India, on the other hand, has been criticized for its slow and bureaucratic procurement process. It can take years, sometimes even decades, for them to finalize a deal and actually get their hands on the equipment they need. It's like trying to order a pizza online and having it delivered via carrier pigeon. It's going to get there eventually, but it's going to be a long, frustrating wait. So the takeaway here is that while India has the clear advantage in terms of overall spending, Pakistan's more focused approach to investment might give them an edge in certain areas. Chapter 6, and the winner is. So there you have it, folks. The Indian Air Force versus the Pakistan Air Force, a tale of two air forces with very different strengths and weaknesses. India, with its larger size, bigger budget, and access to cutting-edge technology, might seem like the obvious winner on paper. But Pakistan, with its leaner force, strategic investments, and history of punching above its weight, is not to be underestimated. At the end of the day, the outcome of any hypothetical conflict would depend on a complex interplay of factors: the element of surprise, the political climate, the will of the people, and of course, a little bit of luck. In conclusion, while the Indian Air Force has a clear advantage in terms of numbers and technology, the Pakistan Air Force has demonstrated strong operational effectiveness and strategic use of its resources. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insightful comparisons.